Hello dear tea friends from around the world. Welcome to a new lesson with me, Stéphane Herler. I'm the founder of the Tea Masters blog and the tea-masters.com tea boutique. Today we are doing our last class on teacups and it's also going to be our last class for this semester before the summer recess. Then you will be able to rest, to take vacation. Hopefully you will enjoy tea on your vacation, tea outdoors, and we will see each other again in the fall, in September. If you really miss me, you have access to all my videos, all my classes for 2-3 years on YouTube, on my channel, Tea Masters channel, and you can check there. You may also leave a message or a comment if you have some ideas for classes I have not done yet that you wish to see done in the fall. And maybe you remember we did a new feature last fall about interviews with you guys, especially people who are following me, who are learning with me. I try to interview you to know more about your way of tea, how you have come to tea, what you like especially about it, what teas you like, etc, etc. And then I give you a feedback. I make tea, I see how you make tea, and I tell you where you can improve. This is a feature I have not done for several months for lack of candidates. Actually, I have 2-3 people who were saying yes, I want to do it, but then one for well, actually most of them were too busy to do it. I hope you'll have more time, maybe in the summer. We can record them in the summer. Maybe I'm here, and I will post them then in the fall, maybe once a month. And so if you have an idea, if you are willing, if you are interested to do it, of course, priority to those of you who are drinking my teas, because then it's also easier for me to give you advice. If you are if you know the teas that I'm drinking and in my selection, it's also easier for me to tell you where you make mistakes. If you are brewing a tea that I don't know, then it's much more difficult for me to tell you what you are doing wrong, since I have really no way of imagining it, what is going on. Okay, so this brings us now to our today's class. We are examining teacups, and I want to brew quickly my dialing. Actually, I will brew it very slowly during this class because it's just a few leaves, and the water is really very hot, boiling hot. Been waiting too long, so this is kind of thing that happens, but maximum temperature is okay. We'll see how it performs. And so today this reminds me, several years ago in New York, in the Bryant Park, I asked several of my readers of my blog to come to a tea lesson and tea sharing, and I asked everybody to bring 1 cup, because your cup of tea is really a good sign of how far you have come in the learning of tea. And today I want to first to show that the beauty, of course, starts with the function, and the function depends on the tea and on the tea methods that we are using. Tea has evolved since Louis during the Tang Dynasty. At that time, the tea they were drinking was powdered, or not powdered, no, crushed green tea, crushed quite little, not yet as small as powder as they would in the Song Dynasty, but still quite small already, and with a pinch of salt. and then it was served in cups that were rather shallow. Maybe few were black, most of them were celadon or white. White in the north, celadon in the south. Louis settled and said that Yueyao is the best kiln for the Tang dynasty, so it would be a nice celadon color. So imagine if this were a very natural green, it would have been actually rather in this shape, a simple shape, rather shallow and very round. Then during the Song dynasty, the tea is whisked, and the shape of the bowl for whisking the tea has become much deeper, because if it were so shallow, the tea, if you whisk it, it would go right and left, and it would jump out of the bowl. That would really not be practical. So the bowls had to become deeper, and this was the right size that they found for holding the bowl. So this even became the standard size for rice bowls in all Asia later on, based on this Song dynasty tea bowl that influenced also the culinary scene. You also had this is also a replica from Song dynasty. What we see is that the foods are quite important in this time. Then we come to the Mongol era. This is also a replica from the Mongol era. You see that the shape is pretty much the same, but it has shrunk. They did not change much the way of preparing tea. The big change came during the Ming dynasty in the 14th century, where they stopped whisking and making tea powder. It was only loose leaf tea, green tea, and therefore the bowls and the cups and the teapots were quite large. So they would maybe use larger celadon cups because or porcelain, fine porcelain cups, because the tea, the green tea would be a good match with a whitish or with a celadon color. And then during the Qing dynasty, after 1644, we have finally oolong that is invented in the south, in the Fujian province, in the Wui mountains, and therefore the cups become quite tiny. This is actually a Qing dynasty Qinghua cup. We can see that compared to cups from bowls from the Song dynasty, it's really shrunk a lot, or something that I would say would be something that they could use in the Ming dynasty, also much smaller. And so the size and shape will depend on the tea that you are preparing. If you have a shallow bowl, this is very suitable to cool down the tea faster. If you have a cup that is much higher, deeper, the tea will cool down slower. This is more suitable for winter, and depending on also on how much you are preparing. With green tea you prepare a lot, and with Yancha, oolong, you used to prepare really very little with a small Juni teapot and very small cups. And therefore the tea itself and the function of the cup will have a big impact on its shape. However, we also see that there are some when it comes to beauty, there are some common themes about all these cups. For this, I've also taken a modern cup. a mug, Western, and you would see that this Western cup is completely different from the teacups I have on my table. First, you will recognize that it has a handle, and this handle actually you can also find in the Tang Dynasty. There are already cups even made in China in the Tang Dynasty that have a handle, but apparently it was not very popular. They experimented with it, but they found out that it's still more pleasant, more harmonious to have a cup that is simple like that, rather than something where you have a handle on the side. It makes sense. Harmony is one criteria of beauty. So if you have something completely round, it really always will beat something where you have something on one side. And if you have two, then this is really too much like a baby cup. Would not. Yeah, it would look more harmonious, but it would also you look like a baby to do if you drink it like this. So the simplicity is also one thing that we like. So they find out actually something like this is just perfect. It's simple, round. Roundness is also in our human mind from prehistory even, the shape that is the least threatening. And when it comes to our subconscious, the first round thing that we see when we are born is actually the breast of our mother, who gives life and the milk to us. So to have a round cup, subconsciously and also from a snap decision in your forecortex and in your brain, when you see something round, you are the least, you feel the least threatened. So it's really the most comfortable shape to see. When you see something that is very straight, like an arrow or a knife, this is a very threatening shape. But the round shape, you know, you are not going to get hurt with something round. So this is you feel much more at peace when you see round cups than when you see really straight angles or straight lines. What else makes a cup beautiful? These cups, what makes them beautiful also is their small foot. When you compare to this one, the foot is very large. It does not look gracious at all. Here think more like a dancer who is dancing in ballet. She's standing on her toes, and like this her figure looks higher, elevated, and barely touching the ground. So it creates a sense of balance, of elevation, and this creates also a sense of beauty. So the theme between all these cups is always that the foot is much smaller than the opening on top where you are drinking. And another important thing that is that will affect us is how we touch our lips. So we already saw it that here the contact of the mouth of the cup with our lips is very important. The fact that these cups are all quite open, flared, makes it very easy also to drink tea, because you don't have to move your cup very high. Just a few degrees and it already starts to come out. Whereas if your walls are very straight up, you have to almost completely make a 90-degree movement in order to get all the water from your cup. Here 45 degrees is enough to get to empty your cup. So and then what is very beautiful also is the curve between the lip of the cup and the foot. And usually it will also be roundish. Sometimes it can be straight. This also is actually for the Chinese, this is like a, they call it doli shape, a bit triangle shape. It reminds us also of the hats in the traditional hats in Vietnam. And again, you can in all the cups try to see the curves that are quite elegant, and that will change a little bit with time. If they are done by hand, it also has a special grace that is different than when it's done by machine, because then it's a bit too perfect. One way to really start to enjoy these the beauty of and all the details in the beauty of these cups is to look at the collections of the National Palace Museum, of the British Museum. So maybe during this summer you have the opportunity to visit some museums. Try to pay attention to the cups that are being shown in these museums, and see especially their lines, their curves, and how they have they work well with the tea of the period of the dynasty, and that they were first they had to be functional. The color had to be in accordance to the tea that is being drunk, and the shape or the decoration would also add some sense of beauty, and the foot would always be quite small. Another thing we just saw with these cups from the Song and Yuan dynasty is that they used to have very large cha tour, that is this part under the cup, and these plates under the cup, they were made to look like to make the cup look like a flower. See, this is it's a bit designed so that it looks like the shape of flower, and the petals of the flower, and when you put your cup on it, it really looks like a flower. Add the tea inside, and it adds another color, making the whole flower very very beautiful. Here again the same idea. It really looks like a very large flower here. Here the fact that there is a Qinghua painting of flowers and of nature really adds to this impression. This one is really beautiful. And nowadays we also have these little plates under the cups. This one also is shaped like petals, as you can see, under the Gaiwan. We also have sometimes this shape, sometimes it's easier, it's simply round. And of course we nowadays are still using these chateaux, but they have become much flatter. In the past they were really designed to bring the cup closer to the person who is drinking it. It also had a function that when you are sitting on the ground, the bowl was closer to you, it was easier to take when it's on this pedestal. And maybe it also had the meaning that it's like an offering. When you want to offer something to a higher spirit, to a god, you try to bring it closer to the god, so closer to the sky. So by having a tall chateau, this is also gives a feeling of respect, and so it has this double function of ceremony and of beauty for mimicking the shape of a flower. You can nowadays do this also quite easily with this kind of chateau in my selection. It looks like a flower. This one is made of glass. We saw in a previous episode of my class that glass is not so good as a cup, but it can be used as a chateau, and it will make your teacup look like a flower, and add lots of reflections with the light, especially now in the summer. It can make this teacup even more beautiful, especially with tea in it. Okay, I think I'm done with this class. I hope that you have found it interesting to understand better the beauty of the cups, starting with their clay, with their glaze, with their firing, and today with their shape. Let me know what classes you would like to do in the fall. I wish you a wonderful summer, and I see you then again in September. Bye bye.